long time since we've talked, and I'm going to get to that right away. So, let me tell you, there are a couple of reasons why I haven't been on YouTube, but honestly, the biggest reason is kind of, some of you might think it's childish, and some of you might think it's totally understandable. I think it kind of depends. I am what you call an extroverted introvert. I'm really an introverted person, but I appear to be extroverted, and it gets me into trouble a lot. I might have mentioned it in some of my other videos, but like at church or wherever, I will get assigned some sort of assignment that people are like, oh, we need a really outgoing person for that. And I'm thinking, that is so not me. But I tend to appear to be outgoing. But anyway, I'm actually super introverted and I'm super shy and I'm super sensitive. And so in the beginning, so it's kind of, let me backtrack a little bit. The reason I do YouTube is I have a total passion for this, a total passion for it, because after I found Bright Line Eating, I realized I have had food addiction my whole life. I didn't know it was food addiction. I knew I had struggles with food. I wondered why I was like the only person who, like when the other kids would go play, I would kind of like to hang out by the cake table and see if I could get an extra slice. And it's always been a struggle for me. And I didn't really realize until I found Bright Line Eating what it was. And so when I got control of that, it was life changing, is life changing. And that is why I have a passion for doing this on YouTube. So whether or not I have one person, my dog like hacking up a lung next to me. Anyway, whether it's one person or 100 people or a million people, I have a total passion for it, and I never expected to make a career or anything like that. It's really something I enjoy. So what happened was when I hit about 200 subscribers, I guess that's enough to kind of get you out there just a little bit. And in some ways, things became less personal. And people, kind of behind the anonymity of YouTube, people can say some really mean things. And I know it's kind of stupid. I mean, I've seen other huge YouTubers that are like, hey, how this is haters or whatever. But I had a couple people criticizing the way I was filming, criticizing the way I don't look into the camera. Let me just tell you, I had a really crappy old phone. I am actually planning to replace it, but there's a whole story behind how complicated that's going to be. And so, anyway, my camera is in a weird place down in this left-hand corner. If I look at it right now, so I'm looking at you right now, right at the camera, it's so low that when I move my hands and gesture, I immediately turn like this, and then I look schizophrenic. I don't know if you could see, but anyway, sometimes in videos I've had to redo the whole video because I look like a crazy person. Not that I'm not a crazy person, but not because of that. So anyway, it really hurt my feelings, okay, people? It hurt my feelings. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to put myself out there because, a couple people saying some mean things. I wish that I had someone to film. I wish I had a fancy camera. I mean, I wish I had, not because I want to be a huge YouTuber, but because it would probably be more helpful to bringing people who have the same interests to my channel. But I don't. I'm a mother of 5. We're on a budget. We're debt free as of 2 days ago, and that's exciting. But we have I have a lot going on, and I just don't have a ton of money to get a brand new fancy camera. And I have kids that sometimes I talk about things that are personal. So even though I do have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old that could film, it's not really, I don't always want them filming the things I'm talking about. So that is what it is. And so, but anyway, I found myself kind of constantly during my little hiatus being like, I would love to tell people about this. Oh, if only people knew about this. Oh, I should make a video about this. And so, thus, I picked myself out of my self-pity and decided to make videos. However, what happened in the meantime, I do have some kind of sad news, so we got back from Wisconsin, we started homeschooling. I was really so unplanned because of the way everything just went so fast. And we had spent my mother-in-law's 80th birthday, we had spent with her in St. Louis, and we were getting ready to help her move out there. She actually lived in the South, and we were actually getting ready to move her to St. Louis, and so she would be closer to my husband's brother. And everything was great. Everything was going amazing. But then we came back, and because we had spent so much time lollygagging around and traveling and stuff, we ended up, I just felt like homeschooling. I was like super overwhelmed. And so I didn't make videos right away because of that. Well, then my mother-in-law got really sick, and we were actually going to go stay with her until she got better, and she passed away. So obviously that was sad news. And my mother-in-law. So for me, it's really kind of a bittersweet story because my mother-in-law and I did not have an amazing relationship, but we didn't have a bad relationship. But one of the things, and this kind of goes with judging people, and so take note of this if you're a judger. So my mother-in-law would visit, and she was always very to herself, and she always wanted to talk about the weather instead of anything personal. And I would tell her about the kids, and she would be like, "Oh, so how's the weather there?" And it was really frustrating. I honestly felt like she didn't care about the kids at all. And that was kind of our relationship through the past 15 years, is that we were both, very, very kind to each other. We both cared about each other, but there was that distance because I am a very emotional, tell you everything person, and she is a very non-emotional, don't tell you anything, let's talk about the weather instead person. And we were just so, so different. Well, we went out there. We ended up going out there for the funeral and everything, and I ended up helping by taking some things to various places, some places. Hold on, Chewy, shush. Taking some things to places where she had volunteered and things like that. Well, wouldn't you know, people knew everything about us. Like apparently, like we were the light of her lives. My children were the light of her lives, and there's just a horrible feeling that comes with the fact that I didn't realize that. So it's kind of been a bittersweet realization because I really feel like if I'd known that I probably would have reached out more on her end. And I think if she had understood me more, she would have reached out more to me. And so even though we had a good relationship, I don't feel like it was the relationship that it could have been. I just sent my kids out for a walk, and now they're all coming back. Hold on. I sent my kids back outside, and who knows what my toddler's into. Anyway, so the other thing that kind of, like, I'm going to go back to the fact that I picked myself up and I'm ready to make YouTube videos again. But let me just tell you the other thing that was really, that was kind of starting to stress me out was that once I started getting negative comments, I felt like I wasn't being myself as much, and I was kind of getting more concerned with what people would think or whether or not I was, delivering the right information. So I definitely wanted to tell you guys that this is actually Brightline related, but I have had so many amazing internal changes, just to my personality, to my life, to everything because of Brightline. And I would like to include some of that in here just on this channel, even though it's not necessarily directly related. So, for one thing, I've just become so much more hyper aware of things going on in the world, and I seriously think it's because I don't think about food all the time. And I've started working with a project that deals with like Bangladesh and some of the poorness and the clothing factories and rights for women, and I would like to include some of that in here. I've also started really working on uh, like really taking my eating to a whole new level of health. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this. I am almost 50, and that just blows me away because I had a baby at 47. I am also the most fertile human being to ever walk the planet, and I've had unprotected sex 5 times, and I have 5 kids. And I thought at 47 I could have unprotected sex and not have a baby, but I was wrong. Don't get me wrong, she's amazing, and I'm so grateful to have her. There's a huge age gap, so I have a 22-month-old all the way up to 15. So, and then the other thing is we are in the final. We took a big break from our paperwork, but we're in the final throes of our foster to adopt program, and so we're going to be doing that. But going back to the 50 thing, I've really started focusing on the things I can do for longevity, and I look back and I'm like, did I actually used to be bulimic? Did I actually treat my body like that? Like I threw up to not be fat, but it was so damaging, and there are just like so many things I've done to stay thin. But really, so I would like to include some of the things I'm doing to stay youthful and to stay young enough to keep up with a toddler, and like to adopt a few more kids, and things like that. And then the other thing is our family has become very, very focused on zero waste, and I also attribute that to bright line eating. I know that sounds really crazy, but when you think about the fact that I probably thought about food 23 hours a day, and now I only think about nourishing my body, it's pretty amazing. And it has freed up so much time for me to think about other things. I've had a few homeschooling breakthroughs in the few years that I've been homeschooling, starting off from being completely awkward and completely frightened and freaked out to being pretty confident and realizing kind of where, what is working for us. So I wanted to include some of that, and then finally, we were buying a house, yay! And so I'm really focused on that. And one of the things I'm doing with that is we've really become quite minimalistic, minimalists. We've become minimalists over the past probably couple years, and I want to keep it that way. But there were some things I was getting rid of, and I thought, like, and I was actually getting ready to donate them. And I thought, you know what? I should give them away on my YouTube channel. And one of the things, I have a couple of Brightline little books. One of them was the one she recommends that has different. It's like, it's like the little book for alcoholics. And then there's also another one that has like some scriptures to get through it. Now, I did mark in some of them some of my favorite passages, but I don't use them anymore. And so I was thinking, I'd give those away. And I also have several homeschooling things. I was like, I should just give that away. So that is something I'm planning on doing as I gather things together and get them done. So I guess that's it. I guess that's all. So just let me really quickly tell you where I am with Brightline, and then I will stop for now and I will continue. So just be expecting some other things, but I will label them well so that you don't have to watch them if it's nothing you're interested in. But so where I am with Brightline, I have had no sugar, no flour since July 26th. So it's been over a year, and I have done some changes. So here's what happens for me with Brightline. It has made my relationship with food so amazing, and I feel like I'm moving through life like I'm a 3 or a 4 when really I'm a 10. But in this process of trying to really do everything for my health, I have crossed a few lines as far as just changing my own personal lines. So no sugar, no flour. Those are flat out like done deals. But I have been experimenting with raw vegan, and I did a little experimentation with the potato diet, and ultimately right now I'm really following some amazing women on YouTube. Mimi Kirk, I think she's 80. She looks amazing. And Annette Larkins also looks amazing, and she might be more 83 or something like that. She looks amazing. And just people who are just really changing the age. And I just started watching a channel this morning called Fabulous 50s, and she's also amazing. And so that's kind of where I am right now with my eating. No sugar, no flour, but those actually really line up with the other thing, with these women who are really defying aging. And but I'm really focusing on the raw vegan, and some things they're not Brightline friendly, but are no sugar, no flours. I've been really doing like some green smoothies and things like that. So that's where I am. But one of the things that I have found is that anytime I do something that doesn't work, or I feel like, oh, I'm getting a little pudgy, or I'm getting a little fluffy or whatever, I can return to Brightline. I can return to my roots of 100% weighing and measuring, and I can just get right back to having a good relationship. I've not struggled with relationship, but I have found some things work better than others. So really, the bottom line is I'm in an experimental phase right now, but I wouldn't be able to be here. I wouldn't be able to be experimenting if it wasn't for Brightline. I wouldn't be able to try having a date in my smoothie if I hadn't already given up sugar, because I wouldn't be able to. I had tried being raw vegan before, and I literally gained weight because I ate fruits and nuts all day long. And your body can only take so much fat and sugar. So I'm just so grateful to Brightline, and I consider myself still 100% Brightline. I'm just in a little bit of an experimental phase. Anyway, I have rambled on long enough, and I will talk to you all really soon, and I'm so glad to be back, and I love you guys, and I hope you are having an amazing Brightline day, and I will talk to you soon.